What a wonderful way to welcome you to the First Unitarian Society. My name is Kelly Crocker, and I'm one of the ministers here. Today, I'm joined by my colleague, the Reverend Kelly Asprooth-Jackson, and the worship team of Linda Warren, Drew Collins, Daniel Carnes. A very special thanks to our Meeting House Chorus for being with us this morning, and also to Althea Bernstein, who will be joining us for the postlude. The vision of First Unitarian Society is growing souls, connecting with one another, and embodying our Unitarian Universalist values in our lives, in our community, and in our world. If you're visiting us today, welcome. We're so very glad that you are with us. If you would like more information about our activities and programs, please stop by the welcome table, which is located in the Commons right next to the elevator. We also hope that you'll be able to stay and join us for coffee hour immediately after service, which is also held out here in the Commons. In honor of Earth Day weekend, members of our climate action team will be hosting a talking circle immediately after this service. It will be upstairs in that sweet little area of couches across from the elevator, and you can find them there. This will be a space to discuss your own personal priorities on climate justice work and the changes you would like to see and be a part of making, both personally and for us collectively as a congregation. Anyone who is interested is welcome to join them. And to those of you who are joining us virtually today, we are glad that you are with us as well. We hope that you'll take a moment to watch the announcement slides immediately following the service to find out more about our upcoming programs and activities. And now, I invite you to join me in a moment of silence as we center ourselves and bring ourselves fully into this time. Blessed are the heavens, for they declare the power of creation. Blessed is the earth, our beloved home, for she is a planet of plenitude.
Blessed are the waters thereon, for they gave rise to living things. Blessed is the land, for it is the source of life abundant.
Blessed is the air we breathe, for it fires us to life and love. Blessed are the beasts of the field, for they are glorious to behold.
Blessed are the birds of the air, for they carve a graceful arc in the sky. Blessed are the mountains and the seas and the valleys, for their variety makes rich our habitat.
Blessed are the fields of grain, the orchards of fruit, for they give us sustenance, asking nothing in return. Blessed are the dwellers on earth, for they cherish the privilege of living upon it.
Blessed are they who protect the earth and all her creatures, from the plants of the field to the trees of the forest, for their reward shall be harmony with the web of existence. Rejoice and be glad, for the earth and her people are one.
And we invite you now to rise in all the ways we do and join in the words of affirmation as we light our chalice. Blessed is the sky and all that is warm and filled with light. Blessed is the air and all that is open and free. Blessed is the earth and all that is steady and firm. Blessed is the sea and all that is hidden and deep. Blessed is the fire and all that sustains and leads us on.
And now let's sing together our opening hymn, number 1074, Turn the World Around. Repeat after me. We come from the fire. Living in the fire. Good, and one more. How about Abatiwa? That'll come up later. We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Oh, so is life. So is life. Whoa, so is life. So Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Whoa! So is life about you are. So is life. Whoa! So is life about you are. So is life. Water make the river, river wash the mountain, fire make the sunlight turn the world around. Heart is of the river, body is the mountain, spirit is the sunlight, turn the world around. We are of the Spirit, truly of the Spirit, only can the Spirit turn the world around. Oh, so is life about you are. Ha, so is life. Whoa, so is life about you are. Ha, so is life. Whoa, so is life about you are. Ha, so is life. Whoa, so is life about you are. Ha, so is life.
Thank you. Please be seated. And we invite anyone who'd like to come up and join us for our time together. Come on up. Good morning. How are you guys? Indy May, was that a thumbs up? Was that a good? How's everybody doing? Hi, Junie.
It's good to see you.
Hi. Hey, Summers. How's the morning, you guys? Hey, Cleo. All right. Well, who knows what we celebrate this weekend? Earth Day, exactly. So for Earth Day, we wanted to talk to you about someone that you may have heard of, Rachel Carson. Have you ever heard that name? No. There she is up there. What do you think she's doing in that picture? Bird watching. I am sure she's bird watching, right? So Rachel Carson was a scientist. She was a biologist and a writer and a conservationist. She was someone who loved and cared for the earth a great deal. And she ended up writing a book called Silent Spring. And in that book, it called out the dangers of pesticides, not just for humans, but for animals and insects and everything on Earth. So she's someone who's really, really interesting, and we could talk about all kinds of things about her today. But what I want to tell you about is how she fell in love with the Earth. So can you see this picture? What do you think that, and it's up there too, so adults, we invite you to play along this morning. This one's for everybody.
Everybody.
What do you think Rachel Carson is doing in this picture? She's on a beach? Absolutely on a beach.
In the tide pools.
Cleo, she's looking at tide pools. Exactly. Have you ever seen tide pools? You know, when the ocean comes in and then the ocean goes all the way out. And what do you see when you look in tide pools? Yeah.
Starfish?
And also snails. Once I saw one and its mouth was bloody.
Oh, what do you see in tide pools? Anything? What do you see here? After the water sucks out, yep. Look at, so can you see that one up there? What do you see in this tide pool? An eel?
Eyeballs.
It does look like eyeballs, doesn't it? Do you think those are eyeballs or shells? Probably shells, but they absolutely look like eyeballs. Eyeball. Those are now called eyeball shells, so the next time you're at the beach, just remember that. What about this one? What do you think in that one?
I see some coral, and I also see this little thing. I don't know because maybe like a squid or something.
There's coral. What do you see? Something that looks like a feather? Yeah. Whoa. There's so much to see in tide pools. So Rachel Carson looked in those tide pools, and there she is. Look at, she must have picked something up from a tide pool and put it in a jar so that she could see it closer. She looked at the tiniest little plants and creatures in the tide pools. She was absolutely amazed. Now, because of that wonder and the awe for all of the amazing things on earth, she fell in love with it and wanted to protect it and care for it, right? Isn't that what we do for things we love? We want to keep them safe. That's what she wanted to do. So today, we're going to try to be a little like Rachel Carson, and we're going to see if we can uncover some of that wonder. Kelly and I are going to show you some images, and you all get to guess and see if you can figure out what they are. You ready? Boom, boom, boom. Here's the first one.
What could it be?
What is that? A jellyfish?
Good guess.
That is a good. You think it's a jellyfish too? What do you think? Any guesses? Grown-ups, what does it look like to you? A flower? A fish?
Okay.
Yeah. A bacteria? Good guess. This is the foot of a mosquito. What? What? So when you spend the summer doing this, I want you to remember that their feet are super cool. I don't know if that will make it any better as we're itching this summer, but okay, you ready for the next one? A wing. Any guesses on what kind of wing?
Dragonfly wing.
What? That is a dragonfly wing. Woohoo!
Well done.
All right. Dragonfly. Okay, here's the next one. Flower.
Okay.
Pollen on a flower. Any guesses what kind of flower? A fern? What'd you say? Pollen. It is pollen on a plant. A fern. That's a good guess because of that curlicue. It is the cross section of a dandelion. What? And the Saturday folks did confirm for me that dandelions are really important, right? Aren't they the first food for bees and stuff like that? Right? You can eat them. You really can eat the greens of dandelions. What's that? Dandelion leaves. Don't you make dandelion tea? Okay, so dandelions are cool, and this is a dandelion under a microscope. You ready? What do you think? A cactus. Cactus bloom. You guys out there,
Coral?
any guesses?
Pokey coral. Okay.
Pokey coral. Spore. Seeds. Seeds. These are butterfly eggs on a leaf. Isn't that amazing? Those are butterfly eggs. Okay, somebody had way too much fun finding these things, let me just tell you. Okay, ready?
All right. What's that?
A flower.
Dandelion fluff.
Dandelion fluff?
I've got an idea.
Dandelion fluff.
The fluff of a dandelion.
Oh, I see.
Daphne. A firework. It does look like a firework. Indy May, you got a guess? Spiderweb, Cleo? Anybody? This is the retina inside a mouse's eye. What? Isn't that awesome? That is awesome, isn't it? Right? That's amazing. Okay, we have one last one. This one, for the big reveal, Kelly gets to pronounce it because I can't. So,
Maybe you should have practiced more for this one.
what do you think of this
What
one?
do we got here?
It's
eyeball
alien
plants.
eyeballs
Alien
is what they're
eyeballs.
saying. It does look like alien eyeballs. That's what I thought too.
Lead? Wait, they look like
Lead?
Ah, you're on the right track. Okay.
Good guess, Ruby. Lead.
Yep.
Coral.
eyes from dogs. Copper?
Eyes. Ooh,
Copper.
copper.
Again, sort of the same vein, just 1,000 times more obscure. This is two different minerals. This is nsitite and cacoxenite.
How would we have guessed that?
How would we have guessed that?
Yes.
Cleo said. I saved the best for last. How would we have known such a thing? Do you notice how I made him pronounce it? Like, I got nothing. I just thought it was cool. And when I found it, I really thought it looked like alien eyeballs. So, Rachel Carson, in Silent Spring, Rachel Carson wrote, "Those who contemplate the beauty of the earth find reserves of strength that will endure as long as life lasts." So this is Rachel and her friend Dorothy Freeman. They looked in all those tide pools together. They listened for the birds together. Their favorite was a bird called the veery. Have you ever heard of veery? I haven't heard one in the wild, but someone once told me that they are in Cherokee Marsh. And so I'm excited to try to go over there and see if I can hear one. Dorothy and Rachel were filled with wonder for the world, and they wanted to save it and protect it. So on this Earth Day and every day, we hope that you too will be filled with wonder and amazement for this beautiful, incredible, amazing Earth. Thanks for playing along with us today, and we're going to sing you out to class.
Thank you.
You shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills will break forth before you. There'll be shouts of joy, and all the trees of the field will clap their hands. And all the trees of the field will clap their hands. The trees of the field will clap their hands. The trees of the field will clap their hands while you go out with joy.
And thank you all for playing along this morning, too. I'm glad you got as excited about those as I did. I invite you now into this time of giving and receiving, where we give freely and generously to this offering, which sustains the work of our community and also supports the work of our outreach offering recipient, who this week is Array It Forward Fund, a project that FUS initiated with our partners at Renew Wisconsin. Array It Forward provides advice on financing and energy efficiency, as well as seed money for solar energy projects for nonprofit organizations. With your help, this program will continue to provide the gift of green energy for years to come. So there's multiple ways to share your gifts this morning. Baskets, will they be passed, Marty, or they're at the doors? So baskets for cash and checks are at the doors of the auditorium, and you'll see on the screen that you can donate directly from our website, fusmadison.org. You'll see the text to give information there as well. We thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we create together.
Thank you so much for that beautiful music. So once, there was a farmer. Well, he would have been a farmer, except that he had no land to farm. With neither money nor deed to his name, he found himself only poor, with nothing else to say about it. So he would go from town to town looking for work in other people's fields and pastures, though there wasn't much to be had. Then one day he happened to pass by a place alongside the road. It was a field lying fallow and ownerless, where the locals threw their garbage. Having no other place to sleep for the night, he made his bed there under the stars. In the morning, after he'd slept, it occurred to the poor man, who was not yet a farmer, that a thing that was broken and abandoned and neglected, that had been treated poorly and forgotten by the whole world, that such a thing was worth at least a little bit more than nothing at all. For the man knew himself what it was to be abandoned and neglected and forgotten. So he set to work. He cleared the debris and the refuse. Out of the wreck of an old wagon, he fashioned a plow, and he tilled the soil until it was free of the larger stones and loose enough for planting. From the garbage that he had cleared away, from rotted potatoes and corn gone to seed, he found enough to plant his field with. And he worked the earth enough to have a small harvest from it in the fall. And so, the man became a farmer then. Many years passed, and the farmer continued to work that same field. One day, a new priest came to the parish, and riding along the road into town, he saw the man at work. It was late summer, and the crop was already green and high. The farmer came over to greet the stranger surveying his farm. The young priest greeted him and thought to pay him a compliment. He said, "You and the Lord have done fine work here." "Thank you," said the farmer. "You should have seen it when the Lord had it alone." There is a view, common and familiar in Western culture, that the natural world is an empty canvas, formless and void, until it is worked by human hands and given shape and meaning. Wild and empty places are worth less than organized and habitable ones. And of course, land with buildings on it is generally even more valuable, as you'll know if you've ever been involved in a real estate transaction or just played Roller Coaster Tycoon or any other number of real estate development video games. For thousands of years, human beings in many, though not all, nations and cultures have carved up the world into plots and parcels and estates with things like titles and deeds and easements and tenancy agreements. We have made a commodity out of the earth. And when a theological explanation has been needed to justify this attitude, advocates, in many cases, have returned again and again to a particular place in the Jewish and Christian traditions. The book of Genesis, the first book in both the Jewish scriptures and the Christian Bible, opens with a story about how the earth and its human inhabitants came to be. The first of these is the 7 days of creation, in which the God of the story separates the universe into successive divisions, light and dark, day and night, the sky and the sea, the land and the water, and then brings forth living things to inhabit air, sea, and earth. The last of the major works in this story is the creation of humankind. This particular species receives a special blessing to be fruitful and multiply, and to have a special relationship to all the other animals of the earth. The most familiar term in the Christian tradition is dominion, but the word being translated here from Hebrew, radah, is probably better rendered as rulership. Humanity in this story is set to rule over other animals, and all green and growing things are given to those animals and to humans for their food. This single passage, 3 verses from Genesis, has been leaned on for millennia in order to justify absolute human domination and exploitation over the earth and everything that lives there. But the very force of our own lived experience pushes back against this attitude that the earth is just a thing to be cut into pieces, bought and sold, used for our own ends and nothing else. The earth is the ground we walk on. It is the only place we have to live. It is the source of all bodily nourishment, the food we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe. So for as long or longer than there have been religious justifications for the dominance of the land, and this fragment from Genesis is by no means the only one, there have also been voices of reverence for the earth and our relationship to it. In the Atharva Veda, the 3,000-year-old section of the scriptures of Hinduism, we find a hymn to Prithvi, a goddess who is the embodiment of the earth itself. The hymn reads, in part, "In the villages and in the wilderness, in the assembly halls that are upon the earth, in the gatherings and in the meetings, may we hold forth agreeably to thee. As dust and seeds did she, as soon as she was born, scatter these people that dwelt upon the earth. She, the lovely one, the leader, the guardian of the world that holds the trees and plants. O Mother Earth, kindly set me down upon a well-founded place. With heaven cooperating, O thou wise one, do thou place me into happiness and prosperity." The religious imagination has long associated land and the earth itself with mothers and motherhood. The world nurtures and fosters life. The connection to parenthood is obvious, and the parallel to biological parenthood, the physical alchemy by which one being creates another being from itself, should be as well. This points to a closely related religious theme applied to mamas of all sorts, birth, adoptive, or otherwise. The range of gifts which mothers give to their children, gifts of nurturing and teaching and protection and life itself, are gifts which are impossible to repay. But just because a debt cannot be repaid does not mean that no one has ever tried to calculate it. The religions of India, Hinduism and Buddhism in particular, have a deep fascination with the debt which all people owe to their parents and ancestors. And a similar theme of unbounded gratitude appears in many native religions of Africa and North America. At one point in the development of Buddhism in China, religious thinkers became particularly fascinated with the idea of milk debt, the amount of loving kindness and selfless compassion owed to one's mother for the breast milk, which all children required in order to survive infancy before the advent of modern substitutions. An official estimate of the amount the average infant consumes was eventually set at roughly 360 gallons. The point of all this was to make clear just how ridiculous and impossible repayment would be. But because we live in an era when it is actually possible to buy human breast milk through a sort of Craigslist for nursing mothers, I could not resist making the calculation based on my best guess of a current average price and ignoring problems with supply, storage, and transport. The 12 barrels of breast milk needed to meet that historical measurement would cost somewhere north of $100,000. But in truth, the debt we owe to the source of our lives, whether our parents or the earth itself, is immeasurable. Beside the historical religious arguments, more modern insights also have some relevance to how we view the earth we share. The scientific creation story, the narrative of our current best understanding of how life began on Earth, begins about 3.5 billion years ago. The molten Earth had cooled enough for oceans to form on its surface, vast seas filled with chemicals churned up in part by volcanic eruptions. Lightning raked the waters, providing the potential means for building more complex molecules. Somehow, through means we can guess at but still not fully prove, the swirling chemical cauldron of the primeval sea produced the first bacteria, incredibly small and just barely alive. Through the imperative towards survival and growth and complexity that seems to be hardwired into life, the process of evolution led to the first complex cells, then multicellular life, and on until something like 500 million years after life first began, the first animals make their way from the ocean to the land. While we cannot say for certain yet just how rare, we know what we can observe in the rest of our galaxy, that the conditions found on this planet 35,000 million years ago were favorable to life in a profoundly uncommon way. The world that has made us all possible and continues to make us possible is a rare find amongst the stars. Our particular tradition as Unitarian Universalists, which believes that true religion must work in concert with reason, counsels reverence towards our planet and our cosmos, and falls more on the side of earthly motherhood than earthly dominion. William Schultz, the former president of our religious association, once penned his own personal attempt to crystallize the notoriously varied and verbose essence of our faith into 7 points. It was popular enough to be published and displayed in a number of Unitarian Universalist congregations, at least at one point. 2 of his 7 points were these: that creation itself is holy, the earth and all its creatures, the stars in all their glory, and that human beings, joined in collaboration with the gifts of grace, are responsible for the planet and its future. In this way, we are not actually out of step with the spirit of the first chapter of Genesis either, because that text has been woefully warped and distorted in order to justify enormous violence against the natural world. In that story, after each act of separation or creation, a refrain follows, and God saw that it was good. The Bible here is in clear and full agreement with the insights of science. The fundamental conditions of our planet are good. They make it possible for life to happen and to thrive. Now, all of this has been, I hope, an interesting lesson in historical theology, but it is far more pressing than that. Human rulership over the earth is a present fact in that we have vast capabilities as a species to disrupt and destroy ecologies and other natural systems. Whether we ought to have dominion or not, we possess it. The global climate upheaval brought on by the burning of fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas over the last century plus cannot be ignored. There is no vast tree hugger conspiracy at work doctoring mountains of evidence all across the globe. A decade ago, Richard Primack of Boston University published a book called Walden Warming, based on research conducted by him and his students in the woods around Walden Pond in Concord, Massachusetts, where the famous Unitarian author and naturalist Henry David Thoreau built his quasi-hermitage. Primack's work used the study that Thoreau made there of his environment to show that flowers are blossoming and birds are appearing earlier than they did 150 years ago in Thoreau's day. The climate really is changing. The water levels really are rising. In 2005, it was predicted that the Carteret Islands at the eastern end of Papua New Guinea could be expected to slip entirely below the waves by the end of 2015. Today, they remain stubbornly unsubmerged due to heroic local efforts, including a seawall and the frantic planting of mangrove trees. But if such projects of climate salvage are heartening, and I believe that they are also clarifying. Incredible effort is needed to address the challenge of our changing world. Now, messages like this one often end with some sort of pitch for personal change. Drive less, recycle more, stop eating red meat. All those are fine things to do, but slowing and stopping the warming of our planet isn't something that can be done solely by small acts, not even by a very large number of them. This effort is one of collective action. We and others like us, those who care about the world, and particularly about the people who live upon it and at the mercy of it, will have to make it a central mission of our age to see a dramatic shift in public policy. Some years ago, in an article in The Nation, Chris Hayes compared this daunting project to the movement to abolish slavery in the United States. Now, it should be obvious that there can be no moral equivalency with a system that kept millions of human beings as disposable goods for hundreds of years. But one of the chief forces that prevented the abolition of slavery for so long is also at play with climate change. An appalling amount of money. The lie that human beings could be property assigned to them a cash value, and the people who wrongly believed themselves to be the owners of those other people regarded that value as very real and very much theirs. Our current fuel economy also assigns a cash value to all that unmined coal and undrilled oil, and convincing the corporations and corporate boards and stockholders to leave all that potential money in the ground will not be easy. If we can do it, it will be one of the most impressive achievements we will have ever shared as a species. But the good news is, we've done it before. Uprooting the public institution of slavery took far, far too long and cost vast sums in blood and suffering, and left continued injustice echoing into this day. But it was accomplished, and with some small but meaningful contributions from among our own theological ancestors, I might add. The poet George L. Lyon wrote these words about the wonder and the challenge of being human on planet Earth in this era of its history. God signs to us, we cannot read. She shouts, we take cover. She shrugs, and trains leave the tracks. Our schedules, we moan. Our loved ones, we moan. God is fed up. All the oceans she gave us, all the fields, all the acres of steep, seedful forests, and we did what? Invented the great chain of being and the chainsaw. Invented sin. God sees us now, gorging ourselves and starving our neighbors, starving ourselves and storing our grain, and she says, I've had it. You cast your trash upon the waters, it's rolling in. You stuck your fine finger into the mystery of life to find death, and you did. You learned how to end the world in nothing flat. Now you come crying to your mommy. Send us a miracle. Prove that you exist. Look at your hand, I say. Listen to your sacred heart. Do you have to haul the tide in? Sweeten the berries on the vine? I set you down, a miracle among miracles. You want more? It's your turn. You show me. Ultimately, what is at issue in this age is not the earth or even life itself. These things are incredibly tenacious and adaptable. What is in question is the motherliness of the earth. Whether humanity will, by willful ignorance and foolish greed, so distort our planet that it ceases to be the nurturing cradle for us that it so long has been. Already great damage has been done. As in the story we began with, the field lies fallow and covered with waste, broken, abandoned, neglected. We can choose to proceed as we have been and see destruction visited in our generation or in our children's. Or we can begin to clear the garbage, fashion a plow, and get to work.
the reaches of the mind. There find the key to nature's harmony in an architecture so entwined. Like the birds whose patterns grace the sky and carry all who join in love expanding, the message of peace will rise in flight, taking the weight of the world upon its wings, in the oneness of everything. Still we seek to find a truth that we might understand and reduce to terms defined, fast and immeasurable time and space, also overwhelmingly designed. Oh, passing years, just might I know the faith that winters in the heart to be reborn in spring, to hear and to feel the pulse of life enters my soul as a song to sing of the oneness of everything.
Thank you so much. Each week we gather, bringing with us the joys and the sorrows, the losses and the celebrations of recent days and weeks. We share these here, knowing they are held in love and support. We light a candle of memory and gratitude for the life of Connie Weisner, who passed away earlier this month. For many years, Connie helped lead our adult education program, as well as knitting more shawls and child dedication blankets than anyone could count. Connie always had a warm smile, an engaging and joy-filled laugh, a curious mind, and a very compassionate heart, and she is deeply missed. We send our love to her children and their families and to all who love and miss Connie. We light a candle of strength and hope for a member's mother who fell on April 1st and has been in intensive care ever since. She remains unconscious as she recovers from a traumatic brain injury. And we send our prayers to their family and our hopes for the best possible outcome. And we light a candle to mourn the violence in our world, here in our own nation and around the globe. We know there are never enough candles to symbolize the pain, hold the anger, cradle the tears. May this light fuel our passion for change and our hunger for justice. And we invite you to join us in a moment of prayer with these words from Lynn Cox. Spirit of life, ground of our being, root of unified mystery growing into myriad branches of expression, bring us together now. Bring us close to the earth, ear to the whispering grass, quietly, attentively, waiting with slow breaths, listening for the very stones to cry out with their rocky stories of tectonic plates meeting and parting, meeting. Their mineral memories of Hadean days, molten rocks flowing and joining, their ancient legends of stars born out of the collapse of other stars. Help us to remember. Help us to piece together our oneness with matter, our oneness that matters. With one more deep breath, may we rise, star stuff walking and rolling across the surface of an impossible blue-green planet. May we join together to heal what is divided. May we find wholeness within, without, among, between. Eternal source, seed of the universe, help us to grow peace. So be it. Blessed be, and amen.
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. And now let's rise in all the ways that we do to sing together our closing hymn, number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning. For the earth forever turning, for the skies for every sea, for our lives, for all we cherish, sing we our joyful song.
blessing of galaxies, blessing of stars, great stars, small stars, red ones and blue. Blessing of nebula, blessing of supernova, planets, satellites, asteroids, comets. Blessing of our sun and moon, blessing of our earth, oceans, rivers, mountain ranges, blessing of wind and cloud, blessing of rain, fog, snow, lightning, and thunder. Blessing of green plants, blessing of forests, cedar, Douglas fir, sword fern, blessing of fish and birds, blessing of mammals, salmon, eagle, cougar, mountain goat. Bless the wisdom of the Holy One above us. Bless the truth of the Holy One beneath us. Bless the love of the Holy One within us. Blessed be, go in peace, and please be seated for the postlude.
They paved paradise and put up a parking lot with a pink hotel, a boutique, and a swinging hot spot. And don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. They cut down all the trees and put them in a tree museum. And they charged all the people $1.50 just to see them. And don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. Hey, farmer, farmer, put away that DDT now. Give me spots on my apples and leave me the birds and the bees. And don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. Late last night, I heard that screen door slam, and a big yellow taxi took away my old man. And don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. They paved paradise and put up a parking lot. They paved paradise and put up a parking lot.